Hallo en welkom bij TulipTV. I hope you will like the show. And if you do, please subscribe. Dag allemaal, welkom bij TulipTV. And this is what's coming up this week.
Coming up this week on TulipTV, Tom Bijvoet talks about the benefits of Dutch bicycles, Janine Peters introduces us to Canada2Leaf, Katja de Bok visits W2 in Vancouver, and there is another episode of Biking Through Holland, all coming up this week on TulipTV.
This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad. Canada2Leaf is the online community for the Dutch living in Canada and the Canadians living in the Netherlands. Canada2Leaf, wherever you live.
Hi there, my name is Tom Bijvoet and I'm the editor of Dutch the magazine, and today I want to talk about bicycles. What we need in Canada and North America is Dutch bicycles. It's not that I want to promote a particular Dutch product, but with the emphasis these days on the environment and the economy, the bicycle is a beautiful means of transportation to get to or from work, to or from school. When you cycle in North America, really what you do is you participate in a sport. We don't know bicycling as a means of transportation. That's something that should change, really. We've been doing it in the Netherlands for at least 100 years, and it's free exercise. If you get on your bike when you ride to work, what you're basically doing is like what you do if you take the stairs instead of the elevator. You're getting free exercise. The reason people don't do it here is because they have to dress up in all this funny gear, you know, colorful shorts and helmets. And the Dutch build bicycles that are comfortable. They've got suspension. You don't feel like you've been sitting on a 2x4 for a day after you get off of it. And I would say that a number of cities, especially here on the West Coast, have grabbed onto this concept. They've been building bicycle paths and separate roadways for bicycles. That's what we need to do. But what we need to do is have sturdy, comfortable bikes. My name's Tom Bijvoet for Dutch the magazine and TulipTV.
My name is Janine Peters and I'm the founder of Canada2Leaf. Canada2Leaf is a network for people who feel connected to Canada. Why Canada? I lived in Canada, Vancouver for 14 months, and when I came back or moved back to the Netherlands, I felt really homesick, and I thought of a way to stay in touch with the Canadians, and that's how I came up with the monthly Canada2Leaf meetups. Canada2Leaf is for the Canadian expats living in the Netherlands, or people like me who lived in Canada for a while, people who have relatives in Canada, who studied in Canada. So basically, actually it's for everyone who is a Canada enthusiast. We offer the monthly meetups and everyone is welcome. We share our experiences during these meetups. It's a very informal meetup. The monthly meetups are every second Tuesday in a pub in Amsterdam. You can become a member by registering onto the website, Canada2Leaf.org. Registration is free, but then you will have the member status. As a member, you can RSVP on the website to the events, which are posted on the calendar. You will also receive the monthly newsletters. However, you can also become a friend of Canada2Leaf and you will have friend status. That costs €3 a month. So for €36 a year, you will also become a friend, and half of that amount will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of the Netherlands. The Make-A-Wish Foundation grants wishes for children with a life-threatening disease. Wow, the ultimate goal for Canada2Leaf would be to have a monthly meetup all over the world in the big cities, every second Tuesday of the month, at the same time in a big city, wherever. So today I'm visiting TulipTV, and I hope with TulipTV's help I will be able to expand the Canada2Leaf network and get more members and hopefully even more friends. The Canada2Leaf goal is meeting with TulipTV and hoping to expand the network. So to all the TulipTV viewers, I hope you will come and pay a visit to the Canada2Leaf.org website and register as a member, maybe even become friends with us. Dus voor alle kijkers nogmaals, als jullie in Nederland zijn en het is toevallig de tweede dinsdag van de maand, kom naar Amsterdam en breng een bezoekje aan de Canada2Leaf meetup. Tot ziens!
This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad.
W2, what is that? Explain to our viewers who are not Vancouverites where we are.
Right now we're in the middle from Vancouver, in the Woodwards complex. And Woodwards, for our immense, it's really a most famous icon for Vancouver. It's the most famous department store. It's sort of like you're in the Bijenkorf in the middle from Amsterdam. It's an old shopping center which was redeveloped, and now it's the new retail and shopping and community space for Vancouver in the Woodwards building. And we run, W2 is the community center, and we specialize in technology and kunst and bringing Vancouverites together from different communities into one community center.
And speaking of different communities, you are of Dutch heritage. Where do you come from, or where do your parents come from?
Well, ik was in North Vancouver geboren in 66 en Nederlands is mijn eerste taal. Maar ik ben hier in Vancouver geboren and I grew up here. So I consider myself Dutch, but Dutch Canadian, and interestingly, W2, our Kunst Center, is very much a Dutch model. When we did the research for the project, we did what we call best practices research, and we went to Pakhuis de Zwyger in Amsterdam, V2 in Rotterdam, De Bali ook in Amsterdam, De Waag in Amsterdam, and all these centers, they markedly different than what you see in English Canada. It's not like you see in Toronto. So for example, De Bali in Amsterdam, it's a place where you can get food and you can participate in conversations. In De Waag in Amsterdam, De Waag does research with science and technology, but also with healthcare. And so it's an arts organization, but they're also doing health research. And so for us in Canada, it's very interesting. It's breaking out of the sectors and thinking across silos. So we think that's very innovative, and W2 is very proud to be modeled from a Western European and a Dutch model, because it's not what you see in most of Western Canada. So we're personally proud Dutch, but also as an organization we're very inspired and connected to Dutch innovation and Dutch design in that way.
The Canadian model, to me, coming from Europe, is that you have a strong volunteer base for your events and for your organizations. I am from Belgium. I don't have that experience. How is that in Amsterdam compared to here? Do you have more volunteers, you think, or how do they work over there?
Well, there's a good and a bad with that. I mean, the negative is that it also means that, especially Vancouver and British Columbia, it's very free enterprise. It's very the Wild West, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because what we have here is that culture and innovation is really left to the market, and there's very little awareness of government that public investment in the continuum between creativity and industry, that there's a real connection there. What you have in Holland, and I know it's under attack right now, but you have much more public awareness that public investment in society creates a healthier society, and there you have also healthier industry. Whereas in Western Canada, you have in British Columbia and in Alberta, you have a very you leave it to the marketplace. Well, the marketplace doesn't always provide. And so the social services sector and the community sector is then isolated and struggling. And so you have a lot of volunteer work, but it's almost like survival. I think if W2 was in Holland, we would be funded, whereas what we have here is we're self-funded. In the nonprofit community, W2, we get about 85 to 90% self-generated funding. That means we only take 10 to 15% from the public investment. Most community groups in our area, maybe it's 40 to 60% public investment. So W2 is very entrepreneurial. It's what we have to do pragmatically to survive. But it's also a thing that we feel like having coffee and serving food, along with being a cultural center, that's a healthy way to participate in a social space. Food, community, creativity, it all is one experience, not going to a cafe over here and going to an art gallery over there, but bringing it all together into one social space. In my career, I've done photojournalism work in Central America and East Asia. But now I think my interest, it's a love-hate, you know, when you're an artist and you tend towards the administration side, because then you lose time for creativity. But I think in some ways I can still be creative because creating space for other people to use and other artists to use, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. And being able to showcase artists in this beautiful civic space is very exciting. So I think I get to create and play as a curator of shows. This really, we would love to see World Press Photo here, you know, the world's leading photo touring project from Netherlands.
And you had the Dutch photographer Kadir van Lohuizen here, right?
Yeah, he came up, he was on a tour, and the consulate sponsored him to come here, so we did a reception. It's kind of what we're best designed for, and you'll see in our building that we have space for public events, receptions, catering. We can do all that in our space, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. So he came, he showed his iPad. It was really beautiful to see a gorgeous work that he's doing that was in the Dutch media, and then he can show it with an iPad app. Beautiful use of technology, beautiful use of photography, and we love that integration of technology, creativity, and he was lovely to host. We're hopefully showing the results of his photos from Chile to Alaska. We'll show those photographs here next year in the atrium at Woodwards.
In 2010 I found an interview with you and you were asked the question, what does it mean to you to be creative? And you answered, for BC artists, the short answer is living in poverty. Now we're 2 years later, is that still the case? Has it?
Yeah, it's even worse now in British Columbia, unfortunately. You know, BC has the second lowest rates of cultural investment in Canada. So it's very much the free market determines the ability for artists. Also, Vancouver is such an expensive city to live in. So it's very, very hard for artists to live in Vancouver. It's a struggle, you know, frankly. You know, we need solutions around housing. We need solutions for you know, work safety, guaranteed employment. And I don't mean this is only, the solution isn't just the public investment, it's also helping artists with supports so they can be economically self-sufficient.
Now this antique exhibit, that reminds me very much of the Printers Museum in Antwerp, where my father used to take me as a child. What is this thing?
Well, it is a Chandler & Price platen letterpress. So it's actually a working press. We're just going to be moving it upstairs. I just have to figure out how to get the 3,000 pounds up the stairs, so that's why it's sitting here. But it will be upstairs in our letterpress studio where we have the original Woodwards 10,000 pieces of type. So wood, metal, and plastic type. So the old-fashioned way of printing. And so what we take pride in here at W2 is doing the old school traditional communication with the new technologies of communication. So we want that kind of respect of the traditions. I mean, it's all communication, whether it's a letterpress or it's a mobile Twitter, it's all communication. And we put the pieces of type in here, the ink rolls over the type, rolls over the ink plate, and then the paper touches the ink plate. So it's a way that it's very mechanical. And now we use Twitter and mobile, and we do the same things, but you know, it's all communication.
So who's maintaining? Who has the knowledge and the skills to maintain and this kind of equipment?
There's a community of letterpress aficionados. So there's people who come from the printing industry who take great pride in the old ways of printing. Those are people who have these letterpresses. They're people who maybe have them as a hobby. What we're doing is we're taking that hobby and we're making it into a public space so that people from the general public can learn about the old ways of printing. And interestingly, the leaders in the printing industry in Western Canada, Dick Cowenhoven, who started Hemlock Printing, probably the best printer in the world in two ways. One, new technologies. They were the first printer in the world to go from computer to metal plate. And they're also the greenest printer in North America. So there's some real Dutch innovation and expertise and professionalism that they have brought to the printing industry. And I met with Dick recently, and he's very excited about our printing program as well. So there's another way. When you look at the printing community, but you also look at type and design, the Dutch are real leaders globally around type and design. So it's fun to have a program here that also has that kind of Dutch connection.
So where are we here? What is this?
We're in our community tech room. So this is a lab where we do our children's tech courses. We do Ubuntu workshops, so people can learn Final Cut editing, so different software.
Who is it for?
We have a dual mandate. So we serve the inner city of Vancouver, which is the poorest neighborhood in Canada. So in that way, we work to break the digital divide. So we work to support people and train people who don't have access to this. We have about 5,000 people in the neighborhood here who have no phone, no internet, no computer. So for them to kind of have their maybe we would say communication as a human right, their freedom of expression, their ability to get jobs, keep a job, stay in touch with family, stay in touch with loved ones. Communication is very, very important. But if you don't have access to technology, you need public resources to provide access. So at W2 we have free community computers, and we have a training program where people can learn about how to upload a video to YouTube, how to create a Twitter account, how to edit video. So all these are more and more basic tools in an information society. We're the lead community amenity in the Woodwards project, so we've been building this for 8 years, and so people know us. We're also frontline workers, so we have long-term relationships with people in the neighborhood. So we don't sit in our office, we work with people. So we're very frontline. It's hard work, and but it's those relationships that matter, and those relationships make results. Not simply designing programs and thinking somehow that they land. You really need to work and build the relationships with people in the neighborhood.
And what demographic are we talking about? Is it young people or?
Yeah, it's disproportionately Indigenous, so we have a lot of proactive work with Indigenous community, and we're also interested in bringing digital culture and supporting and fostering digital culture within the Indigenous community. So we're leaders in Western Canada around bringing technology with Indigenous people and also promoting Indigenous media artists. So we've started a Western Canadian Indigenous Media Arts Festival. So we do Indigenous films, Indigenous media, again using our infrastructure, using W2's resources to promote Indigenous culture.
Super, and when is that?
It's in November, so our second annual festival will be in November. My parents, they grew up during the war my father was ondergedoopt in Drenthe. So they came to Canada. We learned as children to understand history. And growing up in Vancouver, when you understand history, you learn that it's very new, it's very recent history. And it's the Indigenous people, it's their land, and there has never been any kind of reconciliation. So as a cultural worker, I'm able to look at the history that my parents taught me to understand and do something practical. And so what do? I help create programs, and we do the Indigenous Media Arts Festival as a way, concretely, that we can bring some social justice and some economic independence and some cultural sharing between the communities. And VIMAF is a really great result of that commitment, and now we have it in our second year in November.
Oh, wonderful. We're looking forward to that.
As a social enterprise, we survive by our catering business and our food program. So when we have a meeting here or a conference or a TV launch party or whatever the cultural program is here, then we can offer catering. We can make a bit of extra money. And we hope that people come to choose W2 at Woodwards as a meeting place or a reception place. Because we have that healthy food program, we employ local residents. So rather than going to a hotel room and booking a room, you book a room in a community space, and you also support the community through your choosing this location. And our food program is like our arts program. We try to create our food. We have Aboriginal foods. This past month of July, we had Vikram Vij from Vij's restaurant, top cuisine in Canada. He designed the menu for the Indian summer program we had in July. So we try to create the culinary arts program parallel with the other programs so that it's, there's something to talk about with the food as well.
That sounds good, and I think this healthy food is also the secret to your youthfulness, right? Because when I watched you on YouTube, I thought like, oh, this guy is not a day older than 30. And then I saw that in the 1980s you already did a postgraduate at Capilano, and then you studied at Emily Carr in the 80s. I thought, how is that possible? A guy who's only 30, how could he do that? So, what is your secret?
It's the Dutch sea air. Yeah, nou, ik ben 45, maar you have to love what you're doing. I think that's probably part of it, and I think it's my mother. And my mother's side, the long life for my oma was, I think, 86 when she passed. So long life for the Dutch people.
Okay, I wish you a very long and happy life in Vancouver and here at W2.
Great, we'll see you again.
Canada2Leaf is the online community for the Dutch living in Canada and the Canadians living in the Netherlands. Canada2Leaf, wherever you live. This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad.
Hello KLM and Holland fans, it's Aaron and Victoria.
And we are thrilled to have been chosen for the 10-city bike tour of Holland. And along with all the biking and the windmilling, we're also going to be exploring several of the KLM houses.
What's a KLM house?
Well, the KLM houses are a collection of ceramic houses. The KLM have been giving their business and first-class passengers since 1952. There's over 91 houses. The actual buildings are in Holland, so we get to see the real thing.
We're here in Amsterdam, finally, after a nice 9-hour trip with KLM, and
It was a very comfortable ride.
It's our last night in Holland, and I've been thinking about all the fun we've had on this trip. All the great things that we've done, and how I'm really sad to leave.
Leiden? Pancakes as big as my head. Delft. The church bells ringing in the square every hour.
We've been to 6 cities on this tour, and each one has been so different. They all have their different character and their different style, and we have experienced so much in such a short time.
Thank you very much, KLM and Holland, and thank you so much to all the people that followed us on this adventure.
Good morning! We are here at Schiphol Airport, and we are about to head home. So,
Totsies!
This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad.
That's it for this week on TulipTV. I hope you liked the show. If you want to support us, go to our website and click on donations or just on our social media buttons. See you next week. Dag!